What up, Canes family? Welcome back to the show. Thought I'd hop on and cover a little recruiting with you and kind of recap what's been going on the past recruiting weekend. Um, Another big recruiting visit weekend coming up June 6th through the 8th. So that one's going to be big as well. Maybe not as big as far as numbers and, amount of five-star guys as we just had on May 30th. But it should be a pretty big, pretty important visit weekend, though, coming up on June 6th. So we'll recap that. Obviously, the baseball team, big congrats to them making it to the Super Regionals. First time in almost 10 years. As you guys know, big Canes baseball fan myself. And I've been waiting to see a Canes baseball team break through and finally make it to Omaha. Of course, they got one series to go before they get there, but I like our chances against Louisville on the road. I think we could take them. I think we could definitely take 2 out of 3 from them this weekend. Our arms are going to be fresh. Some of our bats are hot right now, so I like our chances. And I definitely think we could take 2 out of 3 from them for sure. And it's nice to see a Canes baseball team actually overachieve for once. I feel like we always, much like the football team for the last 20 years, I feel like we always underachieve, play below our talent level. The last time I remember a Canes baseball team really overachieving, like playing kind of over their talent level, was in 2006. That year, I know you guys remember that great team that we had with Jamiel Weeks and Yonder Alonso, Blake Tacody, Chris Hernandez. That team was stacked top to bottom. That team I'm talking about is the 2008 team, actually. Mark Sobolewski, Adon Severino, all those guys. We went to Omaha as the number 1 seed. Didn't win the championship, probably should have, but a lot of those guys were juniors. 2006, those guys, Yonder, Jamiel, Blake Tacody, I believe they were all true freshmen in 2006. So that season, we barely make the tournament. It was very similar to this year. It's very streaky, hot or cold. Make the tournament, get to the regionals. The regionals are on the road. We didn't host. And win the regionals. Then we get hot. We stay hot, win the Super Regionals. Then we get to Omaha. We actually win game 1 in Omaha. Then kind of ran out of gas. But I remember that was the last year that we kind of rallied and got hot at the right time. Hopefully this team can make a similar run and maybe even get further than that team did. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But obviously a big recruiting weekend that just passed to kind of kick things off here in recruiting season. A big development that's come out since then. Obviously, Lamar Brown, one of the main targets, 5-star defensive tackle, can play both ways. Can play on the D line, can play on the O line. Just a freakish athlete, very, very talented player. Just a trench bully, and the kind of guy we want here. So Lamar Brown visited, tweeted a lot of good stuff about us, sent us, giving a lot of love to Miami on social media. A lot of fans were kind of seeing it as yeah, okay, you're giving us love that you very well just could be trying to raise your price tag for other schools, particularly LSU, because he goes to high school. His high school is pretty much attached to LSU's campus, literally. Very hard to compete with. So, you got the SEC top dogs after him, especially LSU being literally in their backyard. That one's going to be tough to pry away. But if anyone can do it, it's Mario. So would I be shocked if he pulls it off? No, I wouldn't be shocked at all. But Lamar Brown announced earlier today that his announcement date will be July 10th. Now, before he goes and announces his commitment on July 10th, let's actually look it up really quick. He's got a few visits left. And I know the last one on June 20th is going to be to LSU. Let's see, Lamar Brown, 247, University Lab High School. Yeah, number 1 D lineman, number 1 player in Louisiana, number 8 player overall in the country. Yeah, everybody and their mom's after him. You got Okay, he just visited us on May 30th. Then you got this weekend, June 6th, he's visiting Texas. This is according to 24/7. Then June 13th, the following weekend, he's got Texas A&M. And then finally, June 20th, he's got LSU. Then a couple of weeks later, he will be announcing his commitment. I don't think him announcing right after his visit with us that he's going to be, announcing on a certain day. Right. Usually what happens is when a guy says, yeah, I'm announcing on such and such date. Oh, and I'm also canceling these other trips. That's obvious. That's a pretty good indication of what's going to happen. He is, from what I understand, still taking those visits. So I don't think it necessarily means anything. He might have had July 10th planned from the beginning, but we'll see. You got a little over a month here to really chip away and work on Lamar Brown, because if you can get him and Jackson Cantwell in one class, that's 2 5-stars right there. And not just 5-stars. Those are consensus top 10 players in the trenches, which Mario has proven and the staff has proven. They can land 5-star quality talent in the trenches. They've already done it. They've done it with Justin Scott. They went and got, I want to say Marquise Lightfoot was a 5-star at one point. Jaden Wayne. Who else? I'm missing other guys. Oh, CeCe Maui-Noah, Pancake. They've landed multiple 5-star guys in the trenches, and they're going to continue. And now Jackson Cantwell. So to bring in Lamar Brown, I can't even begin to tell you how massive that would be. But we'll see. I'm not, I still give it a less than, this is just me personally, I still give it a less than 30% chance he comes here. But we got a chance. We definitely have a chance. There's a shot there. What's up, Callie Kane? Hey, what's up? What's up, Cafecito? It's been a while. Yeah, no worries, man. Good to see you in the chat. Good to see you guys. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button. Shout out to all you guys who are always in here contributing to the conversation. Shout out to, of course, the Degenerate Squad, Team Miami Flow. Got to give those guys love, as always. But anyway, that's been the biggest development since the weekend is Lamar Brown announcing his commitment date. There's definitely Miami made some moves with some of these players. I remember a few weeks ago, the thought of Tristan Keys joining this roster was kind of like, yeah, maybe. That's kind of like a Hail Mary. Let's see what happens. But then as the last few weeks have unfolded, it's that interest is legitimate. He has visited, over the past however many months, he has visited Miami multiple times, both on an OV and on unofficial visits. So he's come on his own dime as well. So he is interested. The interest by Tristan Keys in Miami is real. And he gives love to our offense and how we run things. And I think he could definitely see himself in this offense. So Tristan Keys went from that's a Hail Mary. It's a long shot, but let's see what happens. Till just a few weeks later, it's like, no, this is a realistic possibility that we can land this 5-star receiver. And how long have we gone with? I mean, you had Amon Richards back in 2016 in that cycle, and he was a 4-star, a relatively high 4-star, but nowhere near 5. And was a freshman All-American, broke a bunch of freshman records here at Miami. Trying to think who else was top tier blue chip receiver. JoJo would be one. Nikar would be one. And they're still beginning their careers here at Miami, but I really can't think of many others over the past 15 to 20 years. And so long since I had a cafecito, Dunkin' Donuts sucks, my friend. When you have been on the other side. Oh, well, go Canes. That is true, sir. That is true. When you're in the mood for some Cuban coffee, I mean, nothing else matches up. And also, as far as American coffee goes, I do like my American coffee as well. I still drink that in the morning. Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts has really fallen off. I don't know what's happened with them, Mark. I remember Dunkin' used to have like fire American coffee in the morning. It was like $1. It was great. Something happened with them. Starbucks, that's like a break glass in case of emergency kind of thing. McDonald's coffee, that's a hack right there. If you don't have time to make it in the morning, pop into a drive-through, get a coffee that's like $1.50, $2. That's really, really good. McDonald's is still really good, actually. John, what do you think about our defense? I will give you my thought on the defense in a second. Let me just finish my notes here about the recruiting visits. Where was I? I was talking about, I lost my place. Oh, Tristan Keys. Yeah, so Tristan Keys looks like a legit possibility here. And could you get him and Calvin Russell? I doubt it. That would take a stupid amount of NIL resources, we'll call it. I would be surprised if we get both. Let's just put it that way. Could we? Sure. But, money is finite. It's not endless. Our NIL chest is pretty full. Don't get me wrong. I think we can compete with any of the big boys, dollar-wise. But, and of course, you've got the factor of being able to live in Miami. So we got a lot of things in our favor. But there's a lot of big-time players we're trying to land at multiple positions. So you got to factor that in. You got to factor in that we're trying, to keep the roster together. That's ongoing maintenance that happens throughout the offseason. So you got to be careful and not over leverage yourself in certain positions. So more than likely, if it were me, if I'm playing EA College Football 26 and I'm, trying to recruit these two guys, I'm doing my best to land one of them, and I'm saving my resources for other positions. Who would I pick? Honestly, it's a toss-up for me. Tristan Keys, to me, more polished, more of a complete receiver, not as raw as Calvin Russell is, but the competition he's played isn't quite on par with what Calvin Russell has to play every single week. So those are pros and cons with Tristan Keys. Again, if we land him, I would be like out of my mind excited. Calvin Russell, on the other hand, super raw. Well, not super raw. Insanely talented, insanely athletic, a bit raw. He still has some work to do to reach his ceiling. I don't think he's nowhere near reaching his ceiling yet, but very tall receiver at 6'4", great speed for a long, lanky guy. He can go up and get those the jump balls, the 50-50 balls in the end zone, can run multiple routes. But, those are things about his game he's still fine-tuning. Like I said, he's still raw. I wouldn't be surprised if Calvin comes in, plays a little bit as a freshman, but not too much. He would have a lot to learn. But by the time he's a sophomore, probably would be ready to tear it up if he pans out. I would have faith in Coach KB to develop him. Someone in the Discord chat, I would love to give him a shout out, but I will be honest, I don't remember who it was. If you are listening, please chime in, whoever it was. I was with somebody on the Discord over the weekend. I was discussing the fact that, Calvin Russell, and they had a great point, actually. I got to give it to them. That's why I would love to give him a shout out, but I don't remember who it was. They had a great point that Calvin Russell, he's going to want to come in and play basketball as well. And let's say that happens. Let's say he's a two-sport guy here in Miami, which is extremely rare. That's not something we usually do, but let's say that's what they do. They honor the scholarship they offered him, and he goes and plays basketball when football's in its off season. All the off-season work that you'd like a premier wide receiver to be putting in, he might not be putting in because he's going to be investing time in basketball. That point was brought up to me, and I was like, you know what? That is not a bad point. Now, he could still possibly overcome that and still be an amazing receiver. Just, he's that talented. That could happen, and he's that freakish of an athlete. So, but you got that at play with Calvin Russell. Long story short, either one, I would be very excited. I would be very, very excited with either guy, and I think we're going to get one of them. I just don't know which one that is yet. I think we get one of those two 5-star receivers. Derek Cooper, I think we're in a good spot there. I think we land him. This could be a class where Miami has like 4, maybe 5 stars. Unless one of these guys, gets a star taken away because they rework the rankings. You know how it is. That can happen. Because you got Jackson Cantwell. I think Cooper, there's a good shot there. One of either Tristan Keys or Calvin Russell. And I believe Calvin Russell is a 5-star. So let's say 3 there. And of the D linemen, you got Tank Jones, who I'm liking where we are there. Prying him away from Auburn is going to be tough. And Alabama, just prying him out of the state of Alabama is going to be tough. But I think that's one that JT has shown that he can land elite edge rushers. So let's see. That could be one. So that's 4. Yeah, I think 4 would be a good number. I'd be very ecstatic with that. Yes, Kylo Ren, thank you. Hit that like button. 2 more wins to Omaha. How about them Canes? Yes, sir. Very excited. Nobody committed yet. Yeah, that Fresh. I don't know if you're joking, being sarcastic, but yeah, come on. You've been around this long enough. You know that doesn't mean anything. That does not mean a damn thing. Everybody's on their own timetable. The recruit visits were just to make a good impression, gain some ground on some really high end caliber, like just premier caliber recruits. And I think we did. I think we made some moves. Now, heading into June 6th, this visit weekend is it's going to be loaded with more existing commits. You're going to have guys like Jackson Cantwell, Darion Coleman, Jordan Campbell, Jalen Seatbelt Waters. I think Joel Irving also is another visitor. You have a lot of the existing commits visiting this weekend. So a lot of guys really are going to be talking up Miami, obviously, to the potential recruits coming in to visit, and really trying to sell them on the program. And some of those guys that they're going to try to sell are guys like Brett Collier. Brett Collier, 6'6", 320 right now, according to 24/7. Their predictions have him going to Georgia. So he might be kind of a Georgia lean right now. If you can bring in a Brett Collier and a Cannon Pickett, I'm good, because that's those 2. And then you got Joel Irving, and then you got Jackson Cantwell. And I think we have a 5th guy. Hang on. Let me see. Oh, Ben Cogden and JJ Sparks. That's a pretty sick O-line class, if you ask me. If you can keep all your existing guys, which again, Jackson Cantwell, JJ Sparks, Joel Irving, who's criminally underrated. He's an absolute monster. Ben Congdon, who just recently got his 4th star. He's another monster. Those 4 plus, if you can also bring in Collier and Cannon Pickett, who a lot of people like going to Miami, I'm good with that class. That's 6 really good guys right there. As far as guys like Kenai Pepe, it's a 5-star tackle. Cristobal's not going to stop recruiting him, but he seems to be standing pretty firm with USC at the moment. Then we also have Bryce Perry Wright, who's 6'2", 250-pound, kind of a tweener defensive lineman, ranked pretty high according to 24/7. They really like him. Well, actually, on the composite, he's ranked pretty high. Let me pull up where he's ranked, actually. Let's see. Bryce Perry Wright, 24/7. D-line, they have the crystal ball predictions have him going to Clemson. Yeah. Actually, 24/7 has him as a 5-star. They have him as the 32nd best player in the country, which I think is usually the last 5-star spot goes to the 32nd ranked player. And the composite has him as a very, very high 4 stars, the 38th best player. So all the recruiting people love him. All the recruiting websites have him ranked very high. They're pretty much all in agreement there. Visiting this weekend, then Georgia after that, and Texas, then Texas A&M. Again, that's according to the 247 website. That's kind of a changing thing. That's very fluid. But that's where it is right now with Bryce Perry Wright. Another guy, obviously someone ranked that high, you want to bring him in. I did make a comment last night that, I would like to stick to more of the, those bigger body types for the defensive line. 6'2", 250 is on the smaller side. But you know what? There are anomalies, and these coaches and staff members get paid a lot of money to scout these players, and they're a lot better at it than I am. So I trust their judgment. DeAnthony Lafayette is one that I know we're battling for. That is another undersized guy, but watching his tape, his first step is elite. He's very explosive off the ball. So I'm going to trust their judgment. I'm going to trust the evals, and hopefully we land some dudes, because right now the D line's in pretty good shape for this year and next year. Hopefully we keep that going. But Bryce Perry Wright's another one that I'm excited about. There's James Johnson from right here in our backyard, Northwestern High School. James Johnson is my favorite defensive tackle in this class, even more so than Lamar Brown. And Lamar Brown's great, but I saw James Johnson's tape. It was one of those tapes that I had to watch like 2 or 3 times because I was so impressed. His hands are so violent, and he's such a violent player. And I mean that in a good way. Not a dirty player, but between the whistles, he plays violently. He plays extremely hard. He's explosive. He's just nasty. I would love James Johnson in this class. I want to say we're battling Texas for him right now, mainly. There's a lot of schools after him. Let's see. James Johnson. Of course, another track and field guy. I'm noticing a trend here with the defensive and offensive linemen. All these trench guys, they do track, they do the shot put. They're multi-sport athletes, which I love. Yeah, track and field state qualifier in the shot put as a sophomore. That's really impressive. He'll be visiting Florida, Florida State, and Georgia after he visits Miami. Now, 2 of those 3, I'm not too concerned about. Georgia, on the other hand, especially Georgia being his last visit on the docket, you got to compete with that. And Georgia always lands elite defensive linemen, and they have proof of concept. They send them to the NFL. They create first rounders, and it's impressive what Georgia does with defensive players. But Florida State, Florida, I'm not too concerned there. But I hope we get him. If we don't get Lamar Brown, the next best guy I would want immediately is James Johnson. I know a lot of people talk about forgetting his name right now. Not Anthony Kennedy. My God, Keyshawn Stansel, that recently visited. Stansel I like too. I like his tape a lot. But the one that would be like, oh my God, this would get me really excited would be James Johnson. Let's see who else. Brett Colajay, James Johnson. Yeah, Hezzy Kent, another one that's recruiting this week. By the way, sorry for the light. The light keeps fading in. Not fading in and out, but it refocuses and it goes dark and then it goes too bright. So apologize for that. Before I continue, Mike, I don't want to forget about you. John, what do you think about our defense? First of all, you're talking about not defensive. This is not recruiting, just the defense right now on the team. I think the defense could wind up being our strength. Could. I think we have still a glaring hole at linebacker. I think you addressed it with Muhammad Toure and definitely beefed up that room a little bit with Toure and Kamal Bonner. But still, that whole position group in general is still a big question mark for me. Heatherman has shown that he can kind of take, different pieces and just make it work and make it into a solid defense. So I hope he comes in and does that here. So, because he definitely has some pieces to work with for sure, especially athletically. more so than what he had in Minnesota. And look what he did with Minnesota. As you know, defense was championships. I know. Defense is still important. Running the ball is still important. And those are, I think, are two things that we're going to do very well. D-line, we will be solid. And we're going to have lots of bodies. We're going to be deep. Secondary, again, lots of bodies, very talented, deep, much more athletic than we were last year, in my opinion. And we're going to be running a much better defense that's much easier to understand. So, yeah, that's the only real question marks are linebacker, just in general, and, depth on the defensive tackle, in the defensive tackle room. It's is Dante Simpson ready to kind of take that mantle and really be a consistent contributor this year, because, it's for defensive line, that is a grown man position. We've seen in the past true freshmen come in and get significant snaps and do really well. Marcus Forston way back in the day is just one that comes to mind. I think Dante Simpson is capable of doing that. And let's see who else. Armando Blunt, I think, is still more of a defensive end, but you could see him in packages where he lines up at D tackle. Then, of course, you got Artavius Jones, who's, still developing. He's still a little bit raw, but he might come in and give you some snaps. But yeah, that would be the only thing that worries me. A lot of people bring up, and I'll do a show soon previewing the Notre Dame game, because I noticed a lot of people were doing it like in the last week or two. A lot of people bring up, how are D tackles going to fare against Notre Dame's running back? It being the first game and us being fresh, I think would help us. If this game is in November, different story. But it's not in November. It's on August 31st. It's in our house. It's going to be hot. It's going to be muggy. They're not used to that. It's going to be loud. So a lot of things at play there. And they don't have any tape on our defense. So you got to remember that. We could possibly be in the ACC championship. For me, that's the standard. I expect us to be in the ACC championship. If we're not in Charlotte, to me, that's a failure. That's an absolute, utter failure. Anyway, Hezi Kent, another guy visiting this weekend. He is, if you have not watched his tape and you want to treat yourself to film of a 6'5", 300+ pound dude playing tight end, running the ball, and doing all these sorts of things on offense, catching fade routes in the end zone, please treat yourself to Hezi Kent's tape. Hezekiah Kent, I think, is his full name. Just in case it doesn't come up, right away when you Google it. Actually, you know what? Actually, yeah. No, you put Hezi, it comes right up. Heze, and then Kent, Kent. I thought I saw he had a longer name. Yeah, but now it's, according to this, it's Hezi Kent. So yeah, 6'5", 300 pounds, from Brunswick, Georgia. He's a top 150 player on the composite. Like I said, very, 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 very freakish athletic profile. I could see him coming in here, maybe playing a little bit of tight end, maybe being that like Cam McCormick style blocker, where you use him a little bit also as a red zone threat. But he's extremely physical and fits the mold of a Mario Cristobal trench player. So, I like him. A lot of top schools are after him. Florida, Texas. Let's see who else. Who else has been kicking the tires? Alabama's offered him. Auburn's offered him. Georgia, Colorado. So, a lot of schools, a lot of SEC schools interested in him. But, yeah, Hezi Kent's one to look out for, and there is one crystal ball prediction of him going to Miami. So we will see. Miami's had a good footprint in Georgia in recent years, and I hope they continue that. His commitment date is July 12th, by the way. But yeah, those are really the main guys I wanted to go over for this upcoming visit weekend. Like I said, another one, I don't remember if I covered it, Justice Fitzpatrick. just committed to Georgia earlier this evening. Congrats to him. Yeah, I think he's going to do awesome there. Justice, of course, is the younger brother of Minkah Fitzpatrick, former Dolphin, former Alabama player, who if I remember the quote correctly, Nick Saban came out and said that Minkah might have been the best player he's ever coached. And I could see that. Minkah was freaking phenomenal when he was there. Justice little brother's tape is amazing. He was one of my favorite tapes, regardless of position, that I watched this offseason. I really wanted him. I thought, okay, let's get him on campus. Let's see what happens. And, let's see if we can make some moves. Just, obviously getting players on campus is a massive weapon for us. That's why I'm like, let's just get to his visit weekend and we'll take it from there. Because I knew getting him out of the SEC was going to be tough. And sure enough, I was proven right. But yeah, Justice was one of the top corners. Originally was supposed to be visiting this weekend. One of the top corners, I think, on Miami's radar. Very talented. His tape is just stupid good. But he committed to Georgia. Now, if you can bring in a guy like Brody Jennings, who visited this past weekend. By the way, shout out to the Jennings family, and terrible tragedy there with his dad, former FSU player. He's had family that's come through Miami. He is a Cane legacy as well as a Florida State legacy. So like a lot of great sports family. So shout out to them. But Brody, if you look at his tape, I liked it almost as much. The only thing with Justice is he's more of like that physical, like just smash mouth type of corner, kind of like not as much of a Swiss Army knife as his brother was, but you know what I mean? Loves to hit, that kind of thing. Brody is more of an all-around, like well-rounded corner. He can cover, he could jam you, he can cover in zone. He's very fast. He can come up and hit. He's not afraid of being physical. Currently a Michigan commit. I would monitor that situation. I think Brody is one that Miami can go grab, and I would be very happy about that because right now, who do we have at corner committed? We got Camden Portis and we got Jalen Waters. Love them both. Oh, and Jontavius Wyman, who I believe Jontavius is also visiting this weekend. Yeah, Camden Portis, Jalen Waters, the two blue chip guys. Doesn't get too much better than that. If you can add, I would like to see us add maybe two more. And if you could add a Jennings and then maybe another guy in addition to that, I would love to see that. I know that 5-star last week, what was his name? I wrote it down somewhere. Chad, if you can help me out. Chauncey Kennan, the kid that's Sam Shields' cousin. Yeah, if we can push for something there, that's another one that's kind of like Lamar Brown. It's like, yeah, we got a chance. Prying him away from LSU, you got Corey Raymond to deal with. Remember that. So that would be very, very tough. But Chauncey Kennan, there's a chance. I would not be shocked. Surprised a little bit, not shocked. But and then Samari Matthews is another one. I have that written down here in my notes. Samari Matthews is another guy that I really like. He's the number 6 ranked corner in the country on the composite from the North Carolina area. I just love how aggressively our new coaching staff in the secondary is recruiting right now. They are hitting the trail hard. So we're going to have a nice group of secondary guys coming in this class. I think you guys are going to be happy there. Last few notes to hit before I jump out of here. See, Lamar Brown, I already covered that. Another tape that I was able to watch this week. I was a little behind, so I had to catch up on a few guys. Zach Turner, that kid, if you look, of course, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to Google him, right? Zach Turner 247. In fact, I'll do it with you guys. Zach Turner. Zachary Turner from Duncanville, Texas. All right. You're going to look at his height and weight, 6'2", 215, and under position, you're going to see tight end. Okay. You think, all right. You look at that height and weight and you're thinking, okay, he's more of that Brevin Jordan, Elijah Lofton profile. No, not really. He's like a completely different player. Go watch his tape. You're gonna obviously scroll past his ranking. He's ranked number 414 overall in the country, so he's kind of at the back end of the 4 stars. Still a very talented player. We are competing with SMU for him, Oklahoma, teams like that. And, he's drawn comparisons to RJ Maryland, who is or was at SMU. I don't know if he's still there. And he's got SMU that he's visiting this weekend, June 6th. Or he's visiting SMU this weekend. But do yourself a favor. If you haven't, go check out Zach Turner's tape. Do not let the .89 score on his rating fool you. This kid is an absolute baller. Every bit of 6'2", 215. He might be bigger. He might be closer to 6'3", actually. Just watching the tape, you can tell when guys are just bigger than everybody else. And in that tape, he's lining up at receiver a lot. And watch his junior and sophomore tape. Equally impressive. As a sophomore, he looks like a grown man already. So go watch those tapes and you'll see him lining up at receiver, lining up in the slot, lining up on the outside, lining up as a tight end. Anything imaginable, he's going out there and he's making a lot of plays. Great hands. Really impressive speed. I saw him pulling away from guys. I'm like, damn, at his size, that's impressive. I was really impressed. Really good route runner. Looks really polished, actually. A playmaker, an athlete, can really go up and get it. He can moss you as well as catch one underneath and take it the distance. And, of course, very physical, very good blocker. If he's listed as a tight end, I mean, he must be a good blocker, right? You'll see in his tape, he can hit. He can stick people. So Zach Turner, another one to monitor. Flo actually told me about him the other day. Is like, yeah, check out his tape. He's kind of an under the radar guy. Talking about the receivers, it's everybody talks about Tristan Keys, Calvin Russell, Samorian Wingo, who I'll talk about right now. But Zach Turner is kind of an under the radar guy. Kind of like really like sneaky good. So go check him out. Last one before I get out of here, I just mentioned him actually. Samorian Wingo. Samorian Wingo is, how can I describe him? I think, honestly, Amon Richards is a pretty good comp to him. So let me bring him up. Samorian Wingo. There we go. And the reason I say that, he comes out of Florida. He's 6'2", $180, similar size to Amon. Right now ranked 155th overall in the composites. He's got a score of .93. So solid, like really middle to upper pack 4-star. Almost a top 150 player overall. Samorian Wingo, that guy, what stands out to me with him is, yes, AR-82. Yes, sir. One thing that stands out to me with him that Amon had this ability, right, is winning one-on-one battles at the line of scrimmage. Wear your glasses. I have my contacts on right now, so I can't. If I throw them on, shit's going to go blurry. Next time I'll wear them. I'll wear them for you, Edwin. The ability to win one-on-one battles at the line of scrimmage, because he has that lateral quickness and he could do it. Notice there's some receivers that, they do the hand fighting and maybe you try to reach out and bump them and then you kind of do a swim move, kind of like, defensive linemen. They fight the hands and turn the defender and they run by you like that. This dude can make you miss off the line of scrimmage without even touching you. Okay? He can win that one-on-one battle just with footwork, just with quickness, head fakes, things like that. He knows how to get open. Wingo can get open at will. The only thing I will say, previous prospect I just talked about, Zach Turner, he seems to play in an offense that knows how to scheme him open. That would be my only thing with him. Whereas Wingo is winning one-on-one battle after one-on-one battle in his highlight tape. From the St. Augustine area, so he's a few hours up north. Still, state of Florida kid. Alabama, South Carolina, Florida, they're all after him. Of course, that entire area, St. Augustine, central to northern Florida, I mean, that's Gator country. If we can pull him away from Florida, and honestly, I'm not super concerned about that, and I'll tell you why in a second, aside from the obvious that they're not very good. Just first of all, Florida has 4 recruits right now. Okay, they got 4 commits. Sorry, folks. Sorry, guys. Can you hear me? I don't know what happened there. First of all, yeah, Florida has 4 commits. And they just, I don't know. They just do not scare me right now head to head in recruiting at all. They just don't. Alabama's still kind of there. You know, they can make a push, but I really like Wingo for this receiver group. If we can get Keys and Calvin Russell, or Calvin Russell, if we can get either of the two, great. My next favorite receiver after those two, believe it or not, is Samorian Wingo. Love this kid. High IQ kid, great hands, mature, explosive playmaker. Like, he checks off a million boxes for me. Love Samorian Wingo. I will be almost as ecstatic landing him as I would if we landed Tristan Keys or Calvin Russell, honestly. Like, I think he's that good. Of course, multi-sport athlete. I almost said two-sport. No. Multi-sport athlete. Basketball, track and field. He runs the 400-meter dash. According to this, 53.19 in the 400 meters. I don't know. That sounds pretty fast to me. The only one I'm familiar with is the 100 meters. If you can run, I know if you're sub 11-second 100 meters, that's really good. If you're sub 10.7, that's elite speed. So, just doing the math, 53.19 in the 400 meters, that's solid. That's really, really good speed. But anyway, it's 8:45. I didn't want to be on too much longer. If you can, the 65 of you guys that are in the chat right now, first of all, thank you for dropping in. And I really appreciate you just chopping it up with me, talking some Canes, talking some recruiting. I will do that Notre Dame preview show maybe next week, maybe next Tuesday. We'll see. Depends on what news breaks. I have a feeling we might land a commitment or two before then. So that might take priority. But let's see how the week plays out. But anyways, Muhammad, I made it. Dude, you made it as I'm getting off, bro. The show's over. I'm logging off. But you can hit rewind. Or you can wait till I finish in a couple minutes and then just replay it. But thank you anyways. Anyways, where was I? I think that was it. Yeah. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And I'll talk to you guys soon. As always, go Canes and go Canes baseball. Big series this weekend. Everybody go watch it. Go support. Have a good night.